Greetings, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade J52, and I am joined this week by some of my merry band of misfit and somewhat insane cohorts. We have with us this week everyone's favorite teacher of the Kirby variety.
I disagree with the somewhat insane. I am fully insane. Thank you very much.
From Earth. But, anyways, we also have with us this week our slightly photonically unstable hologram, Artie. And yeah, it's already starting. But anyways, we've got some interesting stuff to get through for you guys this week, and yep, there it is. But let's go ahead and get started. And first up, we have our console patch notes for the 6th and everything. So for you guys, you ended up getting the Scylla and Charybdis episode. You guys also picked up the re-engineering system, and the anniversary event finally picked up for you guys as some of the highlights of the patch notes. Then they moved the Beyond the Nexus to the New Frontiers arc before Melting Pot for Fed Aligned and Romulan captains. And let's see what's some other good ones in here. So there was actually quite a bit of the patch notes.
And from how it looks, from what I'm seeing, they fixed a lot of the weapons doing things that they shouldn't. Like, for instance, the experimental weapon flak shot apparently was targeting cloaked enemies. So they fixed that. The Iridian Fangs, that was the Voss, like, dual weapons that they had, went under a slight redesign, and now stacks momentum now lasts for 25 seconds instead of 10, and the secondary attack now consumes 2 momentum stacks instead of 3. Also, the third attack grants 5 momentum stacks in addition to a heal if it's used to kill the foe. So if you kill someone, you get health. I like that. That's really good for the console guys. They've needed some really good melee stuff.
Yep. Then the TR-116B rifle can now obtain crafting-only modifiers when initially crafted, which is a good thing. But another one that I do see that I do want to touch base on: all experimental weapons on ships and in Reclaim Store are now obtained at Mark 10. They were previously obtained at Mark 12. This resolved the issue where a player could commission ships with experimental weapon slots at 40 and be unable to use an experimental weapon until 45. So if you hit level 40, you just got a ship, maybe it had an experimental slot, then you didn't have to wait until you hit Rear Admiral upper half to now use an experimental weapon. But what about you, Kirby? What's some of this long menagerie of notes that sticks out to you?
Stick out to me. Let's see. I mean, I'm not seeing anything else that really sticks out. So you guys hit most of them.
Did we mention that they get re-engineering?
Oh, okay, never mind. Concentrate Firepower's free high yield no longer takes precedence over any torpedo firing mode and no longer prevents you from activating any torpedo firing mode while available to fire.
That's good.
It used to be that Concentrate Firepower blocked out any other, like your high yield or your torp spread, and now it does not. So if you have a Concentrate Firepower high yield available and you want to use a spread instead, you can activate your torp spread, use that, and still have the Concentrate Firepower one available. which is, yeah.
I do see one more good one that sticks out to me that I just then spotted. The amount of shield healing from elite fleet phaser space weapons increased to 300% of the previous value, or approximately 300%.
I see another one I missed. Power boards and floaters can now be used from the player's inventory. You don't have to put them on as a device anymore.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That's a godsend for events and everything.
Yeah, you accidentally pop into a ground queue and, yeah, I'm going to use my triple. And I pulled out a power board? What?
He's like, wait, what?
Yep. But, like I say, there's a lot of stuff to check out in this. A lot of it's quality of life improvements. In addition to bringing in the anniversary event, you're also getting the featured episode Selling Charybdis. Then you're also getting the re-engineering, which we've touched base on plenty of times on the show by now and everything. I know myself and Timberwolf have a intel report we did on it. I know Kirby's put out some stuff on it.
Yep.
I'm sure Artie's probably put info out there. So, you say we're not really going to go into too much detail and everything, but basically in a nutshell, lets you re-roll some of the old mods you might not like to pick up something a little bit different and everything. They have a link to their blog talking about re-engineering in a bit greater detail. It's overall, they are going to add more stuff as time goes on. That is one thing Bordicus did say originally. So, in the meantime, you're just going to kind of have to play around and see what all you can actually roll. But, anyways, we'll have a link to this for you guys, for our console players. Highly encourage you guys to look through it, because there is quite a bit of stuff here in terms of these notes. But anyways, moving along, we have our Welcome to the 8th Anniversary blog for console players.
Welcome to the 8th Anniversary for the PC players. So, on this one, let's see, nothing guaranteed. So, there is, basically, it's a nice little article about the things that have happened in the last 8 years, and things that we have to look forward to, and whatnot. And yeah, with over 160 episodes and 8 proven years of updates, there's never been a more exciting time to jump into Star Trek Online. But basically it's a recap, and it is kind of an interesting read. I'm not going to go and read all of it because it is quite lengthy. But yeah,
it's a real tearjerker, to be honest, because like it shows how far we've come.
Yes.
Yep, I know it's changed quite a bit since I started playing at the tip end of 2012, even to now, and it's. I'd like to think most of it's been for the better. There's been a few changes that make me want to face desk a little bit, but it's the nature of MMOs and whatnot. But yeah, it's from the time we all started playing, quite a bit different.
Yeah, very different. I mean, I started playing back right before it went free to play, a couple months before it went free to play, and that was certainly a different game than what we have now.
Oh yeah. But anyways, we will have a link to this for you guys. Definitely check that out and everything, because it is a nice little blog and everything. But moving along, we have an Infinity R&D promo for the PC.
For the March, starting at March 8th, ending at March 29th. The PC players will be able to collect a R&D pack and possibly get a Tier 6 promotional ship of choice pack. From this pack, you most likely get one of these Tier 6 ships that's in this list below, anything from basically the Crenum Anorak Science Dreadnought all the way down to the Sona Collector Science Dreadnought, the 26th Century Dreadnoughts, the Temporal Light Cruisers, so on and so forth. But along with this, you get the normal R&D stuff, and if you don't get the ship pack, you will most likely get Lobby, as it says here at the top. But more or less, there's that's basically the gist of it. As a note, only newly purchased research and development packs will offer the chance to win the special requisition choice pack, Tier 6 promotional ship choice pack. It's only during the event is when you can get buy the R&D packs. Nothing that you've already owned suddenly becomes the pack. So, just word of warning, sort of thing, you know. So you don't have like 10 tons of packs going, yes, I'm going to be able to stockpile, but you know what I mean.
It is also important to note that once the promotion ends, any packs that you do have in your inventory will not suddenly change to a normal R&D pack. They will remain a promotional R&D pack with the option to get the same ship choice pack.
Yes, that is something really good to note, because sometimes you may just want to hang on to them and not use them just yet and just wait for that right moment to open it up, but that's totally up to you guys. Down to a little bit further down near the bottom of the blog here, it talks about the different prices. The normal research and development pack is 300 Zen, which includes multiple different rare materials, also of many different sorts, different components, and as well as catalyst and accelerators. The pack bundle, which is 1,000, gives you 4 of those packs from above. So there you go. Thoughts?
No, I always like to buy a couple packs and save them until a few months after the promotion ends, and then sell them for maximum energy credits. It's a good way to make some EC.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I know Timber hates me because the last time one of these came around, I bought a few packs, whatnot, and on like, I think it was the 3rd pack or something, I dropped the
I think
ship.
it was, yeah, the 3rd one, I believe so.
Everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere around in there. But yeah. But anyways, we will have a link to this for you guys. You can check out the list of ships that actually comes in the pack. I would definitely encourage y'all to look at that, be kind of planning ahead, you know, do I want any of these ships? Do I want to try to sell it? Whatever it is. But these are pretty high dollar ships.
Not to mention that these are some really good ships if you do get to grab a hold of them, so there you go.
Oh yeah. And that 10 low buy is nice if you don't
definitely
own the ship either, so I mean. But moving along, we have our Keyring Bundle for the console. And pretty much, this is a what you see is what you get thing. If you're going to be purchasing keys, you can purchase a bundle of 20 keys, and you will also get a Ultimate Tech upgrade on top of that. Now, this is for the price of 2,250 Zen, and this will get you the 20 keys and the Ultimate Tech upgrade that started on the 6th and will be ending on the 14th. So I believe that is this Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. But
Wednesday.
If you're gonna, is that right? Oh, Wednesday. Okay, my bad. But anyways, if you're gonna be purchasing keys anyway, and you're gonna be purchasing at least 20 regardless, then you should definitely consider picking up this Keyring Bundle. That will give you the 20 keys plus the tech upgrade for the same price as 2 normal 10 packs, whatnot. Now the Ultimate Tech upgrade, what is so special about those is the fact that they will take any one single item you apply them to Mark 14 Epic straight away with no dilithium cost. And they are universal upgrades as well. So you could use it on that one warp core that is just refusing to flip. You could use that on a Mark II weapon if you wanted to, and everything. It just, pretty much anything you can upgrade, you could slap this onto it and take
I
it
will
straight
note
to Epic.
that this is also a really cool thing because now the console guys are also getting re-engineering. So now that they can upgrade whatever to, you know, Mark 14 Epic, now they can re-roll the mods if need be. So it works out.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, that is actually a really good thing, especially now for console players, because it used to be we would always advise, you know, not using this on anything that you don't know for sure what you're getting, which I would still say for this upgrade anyways, do be sure that what you're upgrading is something you're going to use or something that you're going to keep, because these upgrades, they're not cheap to acquire and everything, because you're either using cash or you're using over 2200 Zen. So
definitely use them wisely. You know, I mean, we don't give the same caveat, don't use it on something you don't know what you're getting. So you can, if you're going to re-roll, use it on a Mark II weapon, for example. But if you're going to do that, like Darkblade said, make sure that it's something you're going to keep.
Yep. But anyways, definitely check that out, console players and whatnot, because, you know, even if you don't get anything with the keys, or if you decide to sell the keys, that upgrade in and of itself is going to come in quite handy. But moving along, we have our Scylla and Charybdis Week 1 reward for console.
So, Scylla and Charybdis, again, normally when it's a featured episode, you get the weekly reward box, which gives you a choice of an enhanced universal tech upgrade or a captain specialization point box. That's available once per account, and it is account bound, so you can trade it to the character you want. And you'll get that for playing Scylla and Charybdis, which basically the collective resistance to the Zenkathes genocidal rampage has come to a head. Romulan engineers have developed the Bajoran Defense Covariant Shield Array. When a shield facing is depleted, an ejection of plasma is shed from the shield array in the direction of the downed shield, damaging any foes nearby. That is the Bajoran Shield, which is the first of the things you are able to get from the episode Scylla and Charybdis. And the Warp Core is also a part of the set, and that's obtained from the Bajoran Interceptor, which you get from the anniversary event. But this episode, while it's featured, is available from any character level 10 and up. So definitely, if you've got a new character that's level 10, put the episode on the account. You can always play it later. But this set is actually quite nice, and something I would recommend for leveling up, most definitely. Thoughts?
I also have to agree with the set's really good. Once the whole set comes out, there are a few things I do note, because I believe once you get 3 pieces, I think it's just with the engines, my bad, you get hull scraping, and that becomes something very nice to use when you're getting in close contact with the enemy. So, there you go. And when you have it with the pilot tree's shield scraping, it does a cool duo effect where you can just break through an enemy's resistance and just barrage them with torpedoes.
Nice.
And as luck would have it, I actually do have all 4 pieces on this particular character. So I will give you guys a bit of a preview as to your set bonuses and what you're going to be looking at. But this is what your shields are going to look like, roughly. It's going to start out with a Cap 3 base and everything. I know myself and Timberwolf did a intel report on this, and everything, and kind of showed this off a little bit already. I think Kirby's talked about it too some, but this is what you're going to be getting as a base. You can see the coronal ejection that it talks about. Now this is one of these sets that can be thrown into re-engineering, so you can roll some of that cap off if you wanted to, and everything, but then the engines that Artie was talking about, and the other thing that he did forget to mention is ramming speed may now be activated at 90% hull, thanks to these engines.
Yep.
So that's another big thing.
Oh no, yeah, that's the other thing I was going to mention.
Go ahead.
I forgot to mention, because now that you can get that extra speed boost when you need it.
Yep. And then here's your deflector and everything. It's a little bit of shield cap, control expertise, drain expertise, and then control abilities reduce a foe outgoing damage, so you're going to debuff their damage a little bit. Take a look at the set bonuses and everything for you guys. Scroll down some. Now, for your 2 set bonus, you get it's 17.8% phaser, disruptor, and plasma damage, so this is going to be a good set to work with if you're using any of those 3 energy types. Then you get the range modulation, which will modify the energy siphoning field on the warp core and increase the range for it and the coronal ejection to 5 kilometers. And I probably could show what the warp core looks like, but and then the 4 set adds some extra stuff to it. Now the warp core itself and everything, as far as the basic stats that it gives you, it's pretty standard stuff. It's more of an engine power focused core. It's a hyper injection core. Now the real strength to this core is the siphoning field, and the normal version of the siphoning field is up to 3 foes within 2 kilometers. It does a -7 all power levels for 3 seconds, and then to you after those same 3 seconds you get a +7 to all power levels for 3 seconds. This is actually going to come out as even stronger than the plasmonic leech.
Yes, because it's
in terms of what you can get.
That +7 is per each foe, and you can do 3 foes at a time, so that's 21 per subsystem. So yeah, that's
yep.
That is quite a nice siphoning field. And the 3-piece bonus, if I remember rightly, doubles the length of, or the doubles the effect of the siphoning field to 5 kilometers, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does. That is correct. Then the other thing is the 4-piece. I wanted to show this on the core for you guys. It's a -15 damage resist rating for 3 seconds to the enemy, and you get a +15 damage resistance. So that's an across-the-board thing, which is very nice to have. It's also going to debuff their turn rate by 24.8% for 3 seconds. You're also going to get a +33% turn rate buff for that 3 seconds. So you're getting a pretty nasty set to play with. Nasty in a good way, of course. You're getting a pretty nasty set to play with and everything. I know we've already had some good fun with it over here on PC and whatnot, but
I would also recommend that go ahead and show them what console you get from the Bajorian Interceptor.
Oh, the Domino. Oh.
We can go ahead and show that now. Yep. I was going to wait for the budget build for that, but we can go ahead and preview that now while we're on it. But for the Domino console, now this is one of the good things, is for this particular console you can use this on any ship and everything. You just have to acquire the Interceptor and whatnot. But I know we're spending a lot of time going over this kind of stuff, but you know, it's info that's already out there and everything for PC, so it's not like we're really ruining anything. But as far as the console itself goes, it gives a +15% phaser damage and +20 accuracy rating. So not only is it going to buff your phaser damage, it's going to offset that accuracy penalty a good bit to firing modes like Thaw and Cannon Scatter Volley. Then, whenever you activate the console for 10 seconds, you get a 25% firing cycle haste for energy weapons, 25% all damage boost, 25% recharge speed for buff powers, plus 100% recharge time for torpedoes, And then if you defeat a foe, plus 2-second duration to all effects may occur only 10 times, and then it's on a 2-minute recharge. So you could potentially extend the duration
30.
out to 20 seconds. So
2 seconds, stacks 10 times.
to 30.
That's 20 seconds plus.
Yeah, that is right. So
you can, yeah.
Yep, so 30 seconds, that is a little bit of a brain fart there on my part, but yeah. And then, if you did have the Andorian ships, it does
I don't think they get them yet, do they?
go along with those.
Yeah, they'll be getting them eventually.
They will be eventually. But yeah. But you can see it's a 10% flight speed, 10 accuracy, reduces the recharge time for everything else. Then the 4-piece is plus 3 to 24% bonus phaser, plasma, and disruptor, energy damage, lasts 14 seconds total, but each bonus decreases by 3% every 2 seconds. So that is something to look forward to when you guys do eventually get the Andorian ships and everything that we have here on PC. Like I say, we wanted to kind of touch base on that stuff so you guys can be planning ahead, get some ideas for your builds, and kind of see what you're going to be getting.
We missed this,
But
piece bonus for the Bajoran defense set, the Bajor defense set, is the that it increases phaser, disruptor, and plasma damage. Okay.
Well, it's good that we mentioned it.
Yeah,
if
we said
got
that.
it, but yeah. There you go. Yep.
well, there's another mention just in case. Never hurts to
Never heard.
Never hurts to double check. But anyways, definitely advise playing this episode. It was a rather interesting one and everything. A nice little surprise that you guys are going to enjoy. I don't want to spoil what that is,
said, let's see if
but
I can get the tone right. That was fun. So, yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, you'll definitely appreciate it and
definitely a good
everything.
episode. I really enjoyed it.
But anyways, moving along, we have an R&D weekend
yes,
for
starting
the PC.
March 8th and ending on March 12th. This features, bonuses with R&D. For such, you get. I'll just read it here. For those captains looking specifically for that extra help with their projects, all R&D packs throughout the game will give out an extra 25% of the items they are currently dispersed for the duration of this event. Q R&D material rewards package normal, advanced, or elite will reward a 25% more R&D materials and have the chance to reward a catalyst. Alternatively, the harvest nodes on missions, the little points where you see some gas or particles sitting out and whatever. Now when you harvest those, it will not only disperse 2 extra R&D materials each time they're used, but will also reward 10 dilithium ore and have the chance to give out an R&D catalyst during the event. And for all captains that work on a research and development project during the weekend event, those projects will reward an extra 50% of the appropriate research and development school XP. This includes projects that make component as well as make those items, such as making
items, yeah.
Yeah.
So this also includes the large research projects. So the ones for say you want to do your beam research, and it takes one of the whatever it is, I forget what thing it is, one of the white raw materials, and you get 6,000 research for it, beam research for it. So this weekend you get 9,000 beam research for it.
Yep.
Which is very helpful.
Yes, this is the best time for those crafters out there to get all the materials they need to start building more stuff, basically.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, that pretty much hits it on the head. If you've got any of those R&D packs you've been saving and everything, then now's a good time to do it. And especially for those people that are still going to crack open the packs that from the promo packs, you still get your R&D materials, so yeah, now you get a little extra, along with the chance to win a ship. Well, didn't realize we had this much. But anyways, we have the PC patch notes for the 8th. I believe this one is mine again. But anyways, there's a pretty good chunk of stuff here and everything. Some of the big things, kind of pick one from each category here. Everything. The ship store rank filter will now default to the captain's current rank. Vice Admiral and above will default to all. Then one from systems. Resolved an issue where the rapid proc would continue to lock the player out of cannon abilities after its buff had ended.
Yes.
Could see that being a pain in the rear end. Then Fleet Transwarp removed the old Transwarp gate to Battle Group Omega from Fleet Starbase maps. Then one from the Foundry. Updated display names of ships to conform to existing naming conventions. And then kind of takes care of the bugs corner already. Some characters are zoomed in too far in contact windows, so that is a known issue.
I've got a couple I wanted to touch on. One is quality of life. So Talaxian Salvage Specialist trait now has a small chance of granting salvage instead of R&D materials when it triggers. So this will be a good help to those that have the Talaxian captains that are looking to do re-engineering, because now you have a chance of getting salvage instead of R&D mats. The other one I wanted to touch on, resolved an issue that caused invasive control programming to only affect the primary target of gravity wells. So it should be affecting multiple targets and doing a random subsystem offline for multiple targets that are affected by gravity well.
I got a few that I would like to point out, because a few people have mentioned this. Alright, they have finally resolved the issue where captains can now access account banks from the summoned freighters.
Oh, thank God.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Also, in the exchange, you now have a ship vanity shield category, so that's good. But we're most likely to get more vanity shields in the long run. Yes.
Also good for our space Barbies.
And where is it? Yeah, the rest is basically everything that I found through, because I'm happy that they now added the Battlefield Walker and Sarcophagus ships to the Foundry stuff. I can now, mess around with that.
Actually, two really good ones I see and everything. The shield penetration mod for the TR-116B has been renamed from shield pen ×4 to 4 times shield pen to clarify that this is a single mod and not a collection of 4 separate ones.
Yes.
So I can see how the confusion would come in because of the way they had it labeled, but yeah, that is one mod. So yeah. And then the arc in which cannon scatter volley hits enemies has been doubled from 45 degrees to 90 degree arc. So that actually puts that in line with the arc of a dual beam bank, so that's actually pretty good.
Did you mention the K-13 fleet holding things?
I don't think so.
They added a special duty officer assignment to the K-13 station to survey the Draconis system for useful minerals. Success awards energy credits and dilithium ore. Critical success also awards K-13 fleet provisions. The lieutenant handling these assignments is outside of the office in the main central area, and the assignments become available immediately upon reaching Tier 1 in the full K-13 holding.
I will say that one's very useful, because I've already gotten, just on just one run, a good, 200 dill and, 20,000 EC as well as it
Not bad.
gives me a huge boost of the XP I get for the duty officer missions and such, like the
Nice.
development XP, exploration, and science, I believe. So it works out.
Nice.
But yeah, anyways, we will have a link in the notes for you guys to check this out. There is a pretty hefty chunk of patch notes for console and PC this week. Highly encourage you guys to read through that. A lot of it is quality of life stuff, so you're going to want to check that out and kind of be planning accordingly. But moving along, we have our final article of the evening, which is a 20% low-buy ship and pet
R&D
sale.
sale. So let's tackle that. It's basically 3 things that are on sale. So we have the
for
local
console.
store ships. Is this for console? No,
I think,
PC?
yeah.
Oh, for all 3.
Woohoo!
All 3 platforms.
This is for all 3.
So,
Pretty sure.
we have, let's see, yeah, Lobby store ships and Lobby pets. So those are on sale for 20%, and the R&D boxes are also on sale for 20%. Nice little kickoff to the R&D promotion is to put them on sale so you can get those R&D packs that are normally 300 Zen for 240 now, and if you buy them in the bundle you pay 800 instead of 1,000. Okay, so basically this runs from Thursday, March 8th until Monday, April 12th. So that's quite a long period of time. Both R&D packs as well as bundles will be discounted.
I feel like that's really nice because the console guys are also getting the R&D ship promotional thing, so that works for them as well, quite well.
Yes, nice.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, that's what we have for articles for this evening and whatnot. Like I say, definitely check over those patch notes on PC and console both. There's quite a bit of stuff there that you're going to want to look through. Too much for us to go over all at once here on the show and everything. Otherwise, we'd be here till probably well into the morning.
I think there was a typo in this blog.
Anyways.
Oh?
What?
Well, because it seemed like a long time, so I did go back and I checked the calendar for 2018. April 12th falls on a Thursday. So either they misted the day, so it would be until Thursday, April 12th, or, much more likely, they meant to put March 12th instead of April.
Yeah.
So I
can
think
see that.
they put the wrong month there for the ending. So I would count, folks, on it ending on March 12th rather than April 12th. Because that just seems like a long time.
Now, if they want to let us have it until April
don't look
12th, I'm certainly not going to say no, but... Exactly. But now that we've found the typo, and thank you, Kirby, for pointing that out, I never would have caught that.
When the promotion doesn't usually last that long, so it's like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, but anyways, that's what we have for articles this evening. Moving along now to our budget build of the evening, and we have this go around an Ouroboros class temporal raider. This is the 31st century temporal raider that you get from the pack with the Kronos and the multi-mission ship. And this go around, this is actually a modified bare bones budget request that we received. For this particular modification, we assume that we have a 5 million EC spending limit. Everything else must be free or as cheap as possible. And for this particular ship and everything, the person wanted to be able to survive with the ship as well as deal damage, so that's what we're going with. Everything here. Now for our forward weapons, we used 4 of the phaser dual beam banks. Now, these particular ones, I believe, are the ones that we can get from the Ragnarok mission. Everything. These are the crit D times, oh no, the crit D1 DMG2s. Said that backwards for a second. And everything. Since this is a ship that can turn on a dime and give you 9 cents change back and everything, we decided to go with dual banks and everything, and also because that's something that the user is actually very comfortable with flying, is dual banks. Then for our rear weapons, we have our crafted phaser Omni. We picked this up off of the exchange. This is one of the money items that we had. And then we also had our trilithium enhanced phaser Omni. This also comes from the Beyond the Nexus mission. We'll take a look at it and the set bonuses with it in just a minute. Now, to address some of these survival concerns with the ship and everything, because this can be a concern with a ship like this and everything, is the ability to stay alive. You know, you don't have as much hull as a cruiser and everything traditionally as you do with some other ships and whatnot. But anyways, for the shields, the engines, the deflector, and the warp core, for the shields, the engines, and deflector, we went with the full 3-piece Soul Defense set, and we went with the Bajoran warp core for our warp core this go around. Now, as far as to why we use the Soul Defense set, the reason we use the Soul Defense set is because with a ship like this, you're going to be drawing a lot of threat and everything. We're going to be using some zero-distance powers, which we'll be looking at once we get to the bridge officer section of our budget build here. But to address some of the survival concerns with the ship and everything, we picked this particular set. Now, the reason why we went with the Soul Defense set is actually the 2-set and the 3-set bonus, as well as some of the buffs the set, individual pieces themselves give you. Now, for the Soul Defense set, the 2-set bonus will give you a free neutronium alloys worth of resistance just by having 2 pieces of it on the ship. It's 25 all energy damage resist, and then I believe it is 35 all kinetic damage resistance. This comes from the Midnight mission and everything, so you get to go back in time and save the Iconians 3 times in order to get all of this stuff. Then the 3-set bonus is a very potent healing power and everything that you can set off, which will give you a very nice burst heal and anyone close enough to you, up to a certain maximum number of people. And on some of the smaller ships that I've had this set on, or used this set with, I should say, such as my Temporal Raider or my Mobius Destroyer, I have had instances where this 3-piece heal has actually taken me from near dead almost all the way back to full, if not outright to full. Now for the Soul Defense set, since it does not come with a warp core, you have to source one out. In this case, we went with the Bajoran warp core and everything. If you don't have the Interceptor, then a good alternative that I would recommend is, of course, the Temporal Phase Overcharged core from the Butterfly mission. But we looked at our Bajoran warp core earlier. The reason we used it here is for the drain that it gives and everything. That's a big thing that you're going to have here, especially if you're flying real up close and personal, dropping, doing a bunch of strafing runs with an escort. Then you're going to be able to drain a good chunk of power. And this is going to be, as we said earlier, a lot stronger than the Plasmonic Leech because of just how much power it can actually give you. So that's what we have for our weapons, our shields, engines, and deflector, and everything. And, well, I actually forgot one of the weapons, and that is the heavy weapon. I always forget about those things. And for our heavy weapon, we're actually using the Voice of the Prophets. This is the one that comes from the Bajoran Interceptor.
Your channel.
And as far as our...
It's a boss man!
And we have a wild boss man appearance.
No. I'm not here.
Of our imaginations.
He's just a figment of our imaginations.
Oops.
Someone spiked the Romulan ale.
Are you hearing that voice?
Already spiked the ale again.
I thought it was my meds.
I don't know what you're
Voice
talking about.
doesn't know what we're talking about.
I've been on meds all day.
Meds.
That's besides the point. Don't let me stop you.
Hello.
I think I found our episode title.
Okay, where were we? Voice of the Prophets.
But yep. But anyways, this is a very nice heavy weapon. I think I actually have it in my
I like the voice
reclaim,
of
and
the
I might be able to show that to you guys. Let me actually scroll down here, see if I can find it. It's like I've got a lot of crap in this reclaim section because, well, I've got a lot of ships.
No, that
and a lot of crap.
doesn't come with time, man. No, I don't know what your problem is. We
I have a problem. I collect too many ships, but anyways, I thought I had it on me to show.
And in fact, you can just stop
you guys
it.
for
You
it,
have a
but
problem.
I didn't. Yeah, I guess it could maybe, but
Okay.
anyways, for our devices and everything, we have 2 device slots that we can actually use on the ship. And for our devices, we usually like to think of them as personal preference, but there is a device we do typically recommend, and that is the Subspace Field Modulator. Now, the Subspace Field Modulator is one that comes from the Skirmish mission. This is one, assuming you're doing all of the missions as you're leveling up, you're probably going to pick this up. And this is a device that you can use which will give the equivalent of a free neutronium worth of resistance while it is active. Now the downside to the device is it does put a minus 400 protonic damage resistance debuff on you. And while there's not that many enemies that use protonic damage, it is worth making a note of and everything, because they could introduce those in the future, and there are the few enemies that do use it, and perhaps even players as well if that's your thing. But that's one of the devices you have. Some other good ones would be stuff like Energy Amplifier, Reactive Armor Catalyst, Javanite Hardpoints, anything like that. Now, for our consoles, we have a 3 Science, 3 Engineering, and 5 Tactical console layout. Now for our tactical consoles, that's the easiest bit to explain first. Since we are using phasers, we picked up 5 of the tactical consoles from the Of Signs Importance mission. Everything, you can pick up some pretty good quality starting consoles there. Then for our engineering consoles, we have the Trillium Deplating from the Ragnarok mission. This gives a nice little chunk of damage resistance as well as maximum shield capacity. So it's basically a neutronium armor and a field generator science console slammed into one thing. Then we also get the tactical system stabilizer that actually comes with the ship itself. Go ahead and take a quick look at that in game so you guys can see what it does. And this particular console gives a good bit of energy weapon training as well as plus 50 tactical readiness. And whenever you use it, it's a minus 5% recharge time on bridge officer abilities every 3 seconds for 30 seconds. It's a plus 30% firing cycle haste for energy weapons for 30 seconds. And it is on a 2-minute recharge. So that's a pretty potent console that comes with the ship and everything. But, anyways, the next console we have is actually our reinforced armaments, and the big strength to this console it gives the power transfer, which is going to allow us to regenerate our power quicker, as well as transfer it to other subsystems if need be. And this also gives us the 2 set for the trilithium weapons, and the 2 set, I'm going back and forth between the game and the actual build page a good bit. but the 2-set bonus will give you a plus 5% firing cycle haste and plus 15 flight speed. So that's a pretty good bit of haste you're getting there. Then combo that with the console and the other buffs, and this ship's going to get pretty nasty pretty quick. Then for our science consoles, we have all exclusively universals. Here we have the Quantum Phase Converter. This is from the Sunrise mission. Now, the good thing about the Quantum Phase Converter is it basically functions as a free phaser tactical console. That's one of the big strengths and the reason why we're using it on the build here. So that's going to be free phaser damage for us. Then the next thing we have is the Assimilated Module. This comes from the Omega Reputation. And this, the big strength here is the critical chance and severity that it's going to give to us. That's going to allow us to deal more damage. And if you're a tank, by extension, you're going to be dealing more threat. Excuse me. And then our last console comes again from the Bajoran Interceptor, because the person that actually requested the build had wanted us to utilize some of the items from the ship. And here we have the Domino console, which is... this particular console gives plus 15% phaser damage, 20 accuracy rating, which is going to offset some of the accuracy penalty to firing modes like Thaw and Cannon Scatter Volley. Then the Domino console itself gives a nice chunk of haste to our weapons. It's 25% firing cycle haste for energy weapons, plus 25% bonus all damage, 25% recharge speed boost to buff powers while this is active, as well as 100% recharge time for torpedoes. And if you defeat a foe, then it is plus 2-second duration to all effects and can occur up to 10 times for a 30-second duration overall and on a 2-minute recharge. We did kind of touch base on that one earlier, but again, reiterating, this is why we're using it for our budget build. So that's what we have as far as consoles and everything goes. We're utilizing a lot of effects that can boost our phasers. We're calling into play a lot of haste that's going to allow us to fire the weapons faster, get more shots off, and by extension more damage. Now for our skills, it's a standard skill set that we've used quite a few times here, more towards a jack-of-all-trades type of deal. And for this particular setup, we have 2 points into improved hull and shield capacity each. That's going to give us more hull and shield capacity to work with. That's going to allow us to take greater hits, stay in the fight a lot longer. And we also have 1 point into shield and hull restoration each. That's going to increase our base healing rate, which is always nice to have. Then we have our advanced energy weapon training. This is free damage to any of our energy weapons, especially our beams and everything. Then we have 2 points into improved EPS flow. This is going to allow us to transfer power quicker and regenerate it faster. 1 point into impulse expertise. Then we have 2 points into control expertise and drain expertise. This is going to allow us to buff our control powers and any draining type effects that we might have. Then we have our advanced targeting expertise for a bit of accuracy. That's going to further offset that firing mode penalty to things like Thaw and Scatter Volley. Then we have 3 points into advanced defensive maneuvering. That's going to make our ship harder to hit, which is going to be good since we're using an escort. Then we have 3 points into our hull plating, so we've maxed all of that out, which is free damage negation. We have 3 points into advanced shield hardness, which is going to reduce damage to the shields. Always nice to be able to shake that damage off. Then we have 3 points into weapon amplification and specialization each. That's going to be free critical chance and free critical severity just by having that slotted. Finally then, we have the defensive subsystem tuning and offensive subsystem tunings each. That is free power into each individual subsystem just by having those. Then finally, we have 3 points into our EPG. Everything that's going to boost our exotic base damage effects. We'll see why we have this in just a minute. We have 3 points into our long-range target sensors. This reduces the weapon drop-off penalty to be next to nothing. Then finally we have your choice of either the hull penetration or shield penetration skill set. There is no right or wrong answer to this one. It's just a matter of what you value more. Do you value being able to deal extra shield bypassing damage and extra shield bleed through damage, or do you value bypassing a little bit more of the armor? Arguments can be made for either one. As long as you have at least one of these, you're doing pretty good. Then for our final point, we put it into Warp Core Potential, again for free power just by having this, and it does stack with our previous bonuses. So that's what we're using as far as our skill set goes. For our specializations, we went with Pilot Primary and Strategist Secondary. Pilot has a lot of defensive-based powers, a lot of immunities, a lot of things that allow us to take advantage of speedier ships and move the slower cruisers around a lot easier and everything. Then for our secondary, we have Strategist, which will give good offensive and defensive power depending on whether or not you are in threatening stance and everything. Now, if survival does become an issue, still, after this, you could consider swapping around for Miracle Worker. It is an option you do have. If you think that survival is fine where it's at with everything else, you could consider perhaps Intel even, or even the Temporal Operative. So, kind of mix and match to find what you think is best for you. Now, as far as our traits go, and everything, it's a pretty standard trait setup we've used before. We have the Accurate, which is going to offset some of that firing mode penalty that I mentioned earlier a bit more. Then, finally, we have the Beam Training for free beam damage. Elusive for free defensive value, that's going to make our ship harder to hit. Then we have Fleet Coordinator, which is going to increase our damage based on how many we have in our party, up to a maximum of 5. And this does include you, so you're automatically getting a 2% boost just by having this. Then we have our Beam Barrage and everything. This is our Beam R&D Crafting School trait. Now we typically like to assume that you've leveled at least one of your crafting schools while you're bringing up the tune. In this case, we chose beams as our crafting school. Then, for our next trait, we have our career-specific trait. If you are not an engineer, but you would still like to utilize the build, swap in your own career-specific trait, and you are good to go as far as the trait stuff goes. Then, for the next thing, we have the Nanite Repair Matrix, which is a nice little, oh crap, I'm gonna die trait that you can pick up from the Midnight Mission. Gives you a nice little heal whenever you drop below 50% hull. The next thing we have is our Point Blank Shot, which increases energy damage the closer you are to the target, up to a certain maximum. Then finally we have Operative for just a touch extra crit chance and severity. Now for our Starship traits, this is where we start to draw out some of the power of the ship itself. And this is where we get to cheese certain abilities and everything. Now we have the Regroup trait, which comes from the ship itself, actually. It's your attack pattern bridge officer abilities will reduce the recharge time on engineering and temporal operative powers. That is a 15% reduction, so you're going to get cooldown reduction out of this, which is very nice to have. Next thing you have is the best defense. Your attack patterns grant you a hull healing buff along with their normal effects, so very nice to have. Then, this is one of the money traits we picked up, and everything for our Federation character. If you are a KDF player, you will not have so easy access to this particular trait. If you are not able to pick up the Honored Dead, another option you could go with that's easy to get on the budget end is something like perhaps Pedal to the Metal, or perhaps going the extra mile from Miracle Worker even, and everything. So you do have options. If you can't get the Honored Dead, But if you are a Fed character or Fed aligned character, then you can get this very easy. This is going to give some nice buffs to you, which is essentially worth around 10% damage reduction across the board just by having this active and once you build up the buffs. Then our final starship trait we have is the unconventional tactics, which comes from the strategist. Activating brace for impact increases your damage for a short period of time. So you get the damage negation effect of it, and you also get a damage boost. So all around, pretty good, I think. For Space Rep, you have Advanced Targeting Systems. This increases the critical severity of a ship while it's in combat, so free critical severity. We have Precision for free critical hit chance. Then we have our Aux Power Offensive, which is a damage boost based on our Aux Power level. And then finally, the Chronocapacitor Array, which is free Bridge Officer cooldown reduction. For our active reps, we have the Biomolecular Shield Generator. This is the little green ball you see people using in ISA and other such maps that will give a little bit of shield healing and shield regeneration to anybody that's inside the ball. Then we have our Deploy Sensor Interference platform. This poofs up a little platform that will taunt enemies to itself until the duration is finished or until it explodes, whatever comes first. This is a nice, oh crap, I'm about to die button, at least the way I like to use it anyhow. So you can throw this out and potentially duck back and get yourself a little bit of healing if need be. Next we have our Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity. This is the thing that creates a little collapsible damage-dealing sphere on the enemy and everything. It will debuff their turn rate along with some other such stuff and deals physical damage to the enemy. Then finally we have our Quantum Singularity Manipulation, which is a very potent power. It increases all science stats by 100 for the duration, and it also gives a temporary cloaking effect. Now, to get more bang for your buck out of some of these powers, pop any exotic-based buffs you may have first, follow with Quantum Singularity Manipulation, then maybe crack off a Gravity Well on some enemies to group them up, then fire your Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity, and you will get a lot more damage out of it that way. Then, coming into our Bridge Officer powers, this is where the ship starts to show some of its power. This is a Raider type of ship, meaning it has mostly universal seating and everything, actually exclusively universal. But you have two Lieutenant Commander Universals, a Commander Universal / Temp Ops, and then a Lieutenant Universal / Temp Ops. Now, we'll go ahead and start with the seat that we made tactical. Now for our tactical powers, we have the Tactical Team. This automatically redistributes shields and gives some other nice buffs. We have Attack Pattern Beta 1. That's going to debuff the enemy a good chunk. Then we also have our Fire at Will 3, which is going to allow us to smack most anything in range of our weapons with a beam attack. So very potent there. Then for engineering powers, we have 3 of them. Let's go. We have Engineering Team. That's going to heal some of our hull as well as purge certain pesky debuffs, such as the Viral Matrix from the Iconian probes that they love to throw out. Pretty much any time they get the chance. Then we have our Reverse Shield Polarity. This is going to allow us to recharge our shields based off of incoming damage by a good portion. Then we have Emergency Power to Weapons 3. You can pick this up off the exchange or have a captain train it for you. This gives a nice chunk of power to our weapons as well as a damage buff for the duration. Then finally, for our last 2 seats, we decided to make them science and utilize a couple of temporal operative powers. Now for our commander seat that we have here, we went with Hazard Emitters 1. This is a heal over time effect that will purge certain things like the board plasma fires. Then we have our Subspace Vortex 2. This is going to do a nice good chunk of damage to the enemy. We have our Gravity Well 1. This is going to group up a bunch of enemies for us and deal exotic damage. Then we have our Recursive Shearing 3. This is a nice little power that whenever you throw it on the enemy, it takes a snapshot of what their health is, then however much damage is dealt to them between now and a couple of seconds later, it will apply that same amount of damage to the enemy yet again. So this can be a very potent ability on its own, and I know we've seen it do some pretty crazy things ourselves. Then for our Lieutenant seat, finally we have a Science team. This is going to give a bit of shield healing to us, as well as purging certain debuffs like subnucleonic based effects. Then our final power is the Chronometric Inversion Field. This is basically going to be a damage debuff to enemies, is one of the reasons we wanted to have this. So overall you should have pretty decent survival as well as damage potential using this particular build. One thing to keep in mind that I do want to touch base on real quick is your Gravity Well and your Subspace Vortex are going to be what we call zero distance powers. Basically, as far as the enemy is concerned, you could be in reality at the tip edge of the 10-kilometer range, but as far as the enemy is concerned, you're right on top of them, because that's how they view these particular powers. So, considering the damage potential and everything, that's why we wanted to go with a bit more survival than standard for a ship like
your
this.
bridge officer layout's kind of interesting. Personally, I would have gone a bit more offensive because you did build in the survivability with the Soul Defense set and some of the other consoles. So I probably would have gone much more offensive on the bridge officer abilities myself. I probably would have made the commander a tactical and doubled up on the lieutenant commander abilities. With the exception of the ensign, I would have put a chemocyte-laced weaponry there. And then I would probably trade out the chronometric inversion for Hazard Team 2, and then probably replace the, believe it or not, the reverse shield polarity for a emergency power to weapons 2 as well. But that's me. And it is a lot more
Could potentially,
offensive,
I guess.
but it does lose a bit in survivability. You don't have the reverse shield polarity to boost your shields when you're taking a lot of damage, and you know, but it's gonna have a bit more damage potential. So if you find you're really, really survivable but would like to up the damage, those could be some changes you could consider.
Right.
Yeah.
Or perhaps even swap the chronometric inversion field to a DRB.
Although we didn't really do a lot to boost EPG. I mean, you put points into your exotic particle on the skill tree, but I mean, really, other than that, there's not much that we did to boost it. So that's going to give a limited effect with the, as far as the damage. Yeah, it's going to debuff the enemy a bit, which will help. But for the science, yeah, I would probably put in the hazard emitters, since I would be changing the commander to a tactical. So you would lose the hazard emitters that's there. If I were to build this, yeah.
Right.
It's true.
And again, I know I went through that very rapid fire.
Space wizard.
But yeah.
Yep. But anyways, as far as total costs for the ship go, you're looking at about $4.6 million out of our $5 million budget. So it is more towards the top end of our budget, but you see, the heaviest costing things were actually our copy of Vortex and also our copy of, well, actually our Omni Beam were the biggest costs and everything for this Fed character. Then for our assimilated module, that's the only real thing we had that cost dilithium. So you're looking at, assuming you only have one character refining dilithium per day, you're looking at approximately 2 days build time to kit this ship out in this fashion. But otherwise, everything else could be acquired in a day if you wanted to. But anyways, that's what we have for our budget build for the evening. Hopefully you guys can understand what we're going for here.
Yeah. Actually, I have a suggestion for...
Oh?
Yeah. As my usual suggestion for possible devices for that empty slot, I have two that people have probably already know I'm going to mention before. Deuterium surplus or a reactive armor catalyst.
Yes.
This will definitely boost your survivability, so you can do the whole offensive buff powers. As deuterium surplus, you can get it from the Elia system in the Boreth sector, down at the bottom of the beta quadrant. Its stats are plus 350% flight speed for 8 seconds, plus 350% turn rate strength for 8 seconds, and then plus 15% defense strength for 8 seconds. So you become very fast and are able to take a whole lot more damage for a few seconds, but it works out. For reactive armor catalyst, you can actually build this in your engineering school R&D, or play Broken Circle, because that you get that as a
reward.
Yeah, as a reward. This gives you temporary HP and hull regeneration, plus it usually varies by the size of your ship apparently. But the standard is plus 2,100 hit points over 10 seconds, and then plus 5,500 temporary hit points for 10 seconds. So it's a good heal and defense hull restoration, so, in case your shields go down and you're losing hull quickly. This gives a good it gets a better boost if you have bonuses to batteries and such. If you do use a battery as well with the armor catalyst, it shares the same cooldown, so that's your back off from it, but it still works out if you want to go full offensive and need something to back up your defensive. But no, but yeah, that's that's my only suggestion, because from what I see, everything else works out very fine. It's device slots are, this works out great for a backup.
Boss man.
Yep, but
no comment.
Did I hear what sounded like a growl?
No, something else. Something not related to this. Don't worry. Grumbling over other things.
I was gonna say that, or he was thinking of ways he can break it himself. Just saying. But
give me 2 minutes.
Not that he's ever done that. Okay, maybe a little.
I've already broken
Probably
up
will. That's the thing. But true. But anyways, that's what we have for our budget build for the evening and whatnot. It's overall a pretty decent balance, I like to believe, of powers and all that kind of jazz. But anyways, as far as the bugs corner go, the major one that a lot of people were talking about and telling me about is one that they were actually aware of. They had in the known issues, and that was the NPCs being zoomed too far in during the interacts, so they do know about that and everything.
About that one last night from our good friend Luke Critter. It says, where no man has gone before. Booger mining!
I'm not doing that. What are you talking about?
Really close up. Yeah, it shows a really
Get out of my
close
camera.
up picture.
That gives a new
Oh.
It's a new definition of the term digging for gold, doesn't it?
Found gold. What are you talking about, bitch?
So yes, folks, you know about it.
Oh my god.
Make your jokes while it lasts. They know about it. They are working on it.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep. But that's all the real major stuff I've got and everything as far as the bugs corner go. You say, if y'all got bugs, definitely let me know, because, you know, I pass it along to them. Let one of these screwballs know. They'll see to it that I get it, and it gets passed along to the devs. Everything. They don't like bugs and anything
bugs.
like that any more than
bugs
you or I
and
do.
Breaking them.
Everything. They just
Oh,
love
come on,
having
we all
their
know
little
Boss Man's
competition
the
to
one
see
in
who
the lead
can
at
make
the
me face test the hardest.
I like Raid. Personally, I like Raid.
Yeah, that's... Well, that means the rest of you are slacking.
I'm in the
but,
lead
you know,
because... Yeah.
We could do more Chris I Broke It, but, you know.
But...
We like to kind of prolong the suffer.
Yeah. Once you're
Sure, with
recharged,
your
we
brain
just throw this
cells
giant
left
pack
and
down.
Wait
Like,
till
here you go.
you've recharged, and then we go, Chris, I broke it. Yeah. Just... Anyway.
But anyways,
Ooh,
moving
that's
along,
me.
we have our Teacher's Corner for the
me.
evening, and what do you got for us this
me.
week?
So
Me,
this week,
Mario!
following up on the series of about fleet and fleet gear. So now that we've told you how to donate to your fleets, why you should donate to your fleet, this week we are looking at the Spire and what items you can buy from the Spire, what fleet gear and other items you can buy from the Spire. Things like improving your space and ground roster by one, so you can go from being able to slot 5 duty officers in space and on ground to being able to slot 6, and you can buy that with fleet credits. And that's just one example of what you can get from the Spire. So, yes. So check it out, and as always with these, remember, things that are available are based on the rank or level of your fleet holding, so help to build it up and you'll have everything available. Comments, questions?
You know, I've talked to many people and they don't realize that there's a lot of cool stuff on the Spire. They always forget about the locators and the DOF officer stuff. And even the outfits. People don't realize there's actual outfits there.
I know. And even though I am not Space Barbie myself, I did mention there are outfits and to check them out. So, you know, and that's specific, that there are unique outfits that unlock for your Spire. So I did mention that. I remembered to do that, see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, anyways, we will have a link to Teacher's video. Definitely check that out if you've been curious about the Spire. You're not really sure what all you can do, why it's important to level the Spire, and whatnot.
Yes.
And, yeah, she covers it pretty well. But coming up on our final segment of the evening, we have the RP Corner with our
this
favorite
time
hologram
I'm doing a little
Artie.
spin-off.
What do you got for us
I'm
this
going to
week,
be
dude?
talking about a Foundry episode that I found. This one is called Redshirt Apocalypse Redux by DangerOne. This Foundry mission, basically you take the place of a 23rd century captain that has to go off to a far-off installation, Starfleet installation, over by the Cardassians and such, but you're not dealing with the Cardassians. You're just over there. And you're going down to the installation because they haven't been, they don't have... They've been out of touch for a while, so you need to go check up on them. And hilarity ensues, as well as a lot of trouble with a certain colored shirt. I feel this is a really good mission. It has a lot of good space and ground quality. It's mostly ground combat, but it's very story driven. I feel like it's good, short, sweet. It works very well on a single player run. It is recommended that you use at least one tactical officer if you do go on ground, as well as a doctor for some of the hilarious bridge officer banter. Although you can do it on multiplayer, you'll just see the dialogue with your personal crew instead of the rest of the players in the group. But either way, this very witty Foundry mission can be run on any difficulty. If you do want to put a little bit more challenge to the hilarity of Redshirts, you can totally play it on advanced. You can go to elite if you want, but that's totally up to you. But it's really nice. I would say there's quite a few different jokes in there. It's really hard just to not try to spoil it. But no, I recommend it. You can find it in the Browse All tab. This will be sent in the notes as well. Questions?
Sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to go check it out.
Gee,
I know,
wonder
right?
what kind of color shirt it is you have trouble with. Nah. But, anyways, we will have a link to all of that stuff in the notes for you guys. You can definitely check that mission out, whatnot. But, anyways, that's all the fun articles and shenanigans and everything we have for you guys this week, whatnot. But before we go, as always, a good shout out to our friends over at the Temporal Armada. Be sure to check those guys out. Very cool bunch of folks and everything. Also, another shout out to our good friends over at the Kurtang Pirate Radio and everything. Definitely check those folks out. They put on a very good radio program for everybody. Usually, it's pretty good music playing.
Check them out at kurtangpirateradio.com.
But, yes, and the party is here. But also as well, if you have a budget build you'd like for us to do and whatnot, feel free to let us know and everything. Say, hey, this is the ship that I've got and everything. Let us know what ship you want us to do. Let us know if there's a specific energy type, or if you don't really care, you just want the build done. Let us know your budget level as well. We usually work with a bare bones, or a mid-range, or a high-end type thing, so we work at all ends of the spectrum. Whatnot. Just let us know what you're looking for as far as the ship, the budget, and what you're wanting to do with it, and we'll hook you up. If you think that your ship and your gear and everything is in order, but if you could just get your positioning a little bit better, get a little bit more out of your piloting and whatnot, then submit a little bit or a little bitty video clip to us and everything on our website and everything, and we'll help you out as far as your piloting goes. But then as well, if you've got any requests for the Teacher's Corner, feel free to let her know. Maybe there's a specific point of the game that you just don't entirely get it, or you need a little more info on it. She may just do a video over it. Also, let Artie know if you've got any request for the RP Corner, and I'll be glad to go over some of that stuff with you. But anyways, that's what we have for a show this evening, folks. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it and whatnot, and get to hear some of our shenanigans.
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 But anyways, folks, that's it for this evening. Join us again next week for more shenanigans, more fun, and more probable hilarity. Actually, guaranteed hilarity that's going to happen.
Of course.
But knowing this bunch, they'll try. But anyways, folks, this is the Pilot Review Show, and you're walking out of here.